something light and sweet and
orchestra, won't you play something that is light, something that is sweet, and maybe you will play something that is gay,
something that is gay.
For we must have music,
we must have music,
we must have music,
we must have music,
we must have music to drive our cares away.
We must have music,
play, orchestra, play something light and sweet and gay.
For we must have music,
we must have music to drive.
We must have music that will drive our fears away. While our illusions swiftly fade for us, let's have an orchestra score.
In the confusion the years have made for us, serenade for us just once more.
Serenade us, life needn't be grey, although it's changing day by day. Though a few old dreams may decay, play, orchestra play.
Life needn't be grey.
You'll find that life need not be
it's
grey,
changing day by day.
although it's changing day by day. What does it matter if a few old dreams decay?
Play orchestra,
We must have music,
play orchestra,
we must have music.
play orchestra, play orchestra, play orchestra,
Play, Orchestra, Play, a song from Noel Coward's Tonight at 8:30, a collection of plays for which he wrote words and music, in which he starred as actor and singer, and which he directed. If, as we examine his lyrics, we sometimes feel that he was not always a match for some of his American contemporaries in that field, it's good to remember that with Coward, the whole was always greater than the parts. As an artist in classic high comedy, he was the immediate heir to the tradition of Congreve and Wilde and Shaw, and until Tom Stoppard came along, just about the only heir. His musicals are in the polite, graceful tradition of Gilbert and Sullivan and Daly's and the Gaiety, and none the worse for that. Above all, his concern was to entertain, whether it was on the page or the stage, or in the cut and thrust of conversation. His clipped, spontaneous comebacks have become familiar chestnuts. Cornered by a newspaper reporter on one occasion, Coward was asked if he had anything to say to the star. He said, "Twinkle." Trapped in a lift with an Australian woman who insisted that he should say something funny, he offered kangaroo. To get back to the songs, here are some which strike his favourite notes. Cleo Lane sings London Pride, Coward in his most sincerely patriotic mood. The song was inspired by the years when London stood alone against the enemy in the Blitz of World War II. Years later, Coward was to tell his friend Lionel Bart that Bart's musical Blitz was very close to the real thing, but twice as long and just as noisy. Nina is a patter song about a lady who came from Argentina in the days when we were still allowed to cry about it. In his introduction to his collected lyrics, Coward wrote, "I can only assume that the compulsion to make rhymes was born in me." Nina contains many of his happiest. But first, David Kernan and Gemma Craven will sing A Room with a View, Coward at his most wistful and tuneful, the authentic voice of a 20s romance.
a room with a view, and you, with no one to worry us, no one to hurry us through this we find.
We'll gaze at the sky and cry to guess what it's all about, then we will figure out why the world is round.
We'll be as happy and contented as birds upon a tree, high above the mountains.
We'll build and we'll cruise. Sorrow will never come.
Oh, will it ever come true? Our room with a view. We'll watch the whole world pass before us while we are sitting still,
Leaning on our own windowsill.
we'll build and we'll
And someday the stork will bring this, that.
and t'other thing too. Our room with a view. Senorita Nina from Argentina knew all the answers, and though her relatives and friends were perfect dancers, she swore she'd never dance a step until she died. She said, I've seen too many movies, and all they prove is too idiotic. They all insist that South America's exotic, whereas it couldn't be more boring if it tried. She said that frankly she was blinded to all the over-advertised romantic charms. And then she got more bloody-minded and told them where to put their tropic palms. She said, I hate to be pedantic, but I'm driven nearly frantic when I see that unromantic, sycophantic lot of sluts forever wriggling their guts. It drives me absolutely nuts. She refused to begin the beginning when they requested it, and she made an embarrassing scene if anyone suggested it, for she detested it. Though no one ever could be keener than little Nina on quite a number of very eligible men who did the rumba. When they proposed to her, she simply left them flat. She said that love should be impulsive, but not convulsive, and syncopation had a discouraging effect on procreation, and that she'd rather read a book, and that was that. She declined to begin the beguine, for they besought her to. And with language profane and obscene, she cursed the man who taught her to. She cursed Cole Porter too. From this it's very clear that Nina, in her demeanor, was so offensive that when the hatred of her friends grew too intensive, she thought she'd better beat it while she had the chance. After some trial and tribulation, she reached the station and met a sailor who had acquired a wooden leg in Venezuela. And so she married him because he couldn't dance. There surely never could have been a more irritating girl than Nina. They never speak in Argentina of that degenerate bambina who had the luck to find romance, but resolutely wouldn't dance. I will not dance. Hola!
city flower, every spring unfailing, growing in the crevices of some London railing. Though it has a Latin name in town and countryside, we in England call it London Pride. London Pride has been handed down to us. London Pride is a flower that's free. London Pride is our own dear town to us, and our pride it forever will be. Wow, Liza, see the Costa Barra, the vegetable marrows and the fruit pie. Wow, Liza, little Cockney sparrow, Covent Garden Market, where the costas cry. Cockney feet mark the beat of history. Every street pins a memory down. Nothing ever can quite replace the grace of London town. London Pride has been handed down to us. London Pride is a flower that's free. London Pride is our own dear town to us, and our pride it forever will be. Grey city, stubbornly implanted, taken so for granted for 1,000 years. Stay, city, smokily enchanted, cradle of our memories, our hopes and fears. Every blitz our resistance toughening, from the Ritz to the Anchor and Crown. Nothing ever can override the pride of London.
There is a celebrated rivalry between some songwriters, but in the case of the really great ones, we often find a less publicized admiration and camaraderie. Just as Irving Berlin could write generously to Cole Porter, anything I can do, you can do better, so Cole Porter could parody Noel Coward, and Coward could put one Porter song right out of commission by changing the lines, "Weren't we fools to lose each other? Though we know we loved each other, you chose another, so did I," and substituting, "Though we know we loved each other, you chose your brother, so did I." However, he could still cable Porter during the war for permission to rewrite Let's Do It and get the permission. This parody became so famous that people still lay bets that the song is Coward's and not Porter's. Here, if it'll help to settle a bet anywhere in the world, is Cole Porter's tune with a selection of Noel Coward's lyrics.
Mr. Irving Berlin often emphasizes sin in a charming way.
Mr. Coward, we know, wrote a song or two to show sex was here to stay.
Richard Rogers, it's true, took a more romantic view on that sly biological urge. But it really was Cole who contrived to make the whole thing merge. Those famous writers in swarms do it.
Somerset and all the moms do it.
Let's do it.
Let's fall in love. The Brontes felt that they must do it.
Ernest Hemingway could just do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love. E. Allan Poe, did it, but he did it in verse.
They say Cocteau did it, but he had to rehearse.
Tennessee Williams, self-taught, doesn't.
Kinsey with a definite report, doesn't.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
The House of Commons en bloc, do it.
Civil servants by the clock, do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
Deacons who've done it before, do it.
Minor cannons with a roar, do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
Miss Betty Davis can't quite do it, for she's so highly strung.
Marlene might do it, but she looks far too young.
Excited spinsters in spas do it.
Duchesses when opening bazaars, do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
In Texas, some of the men do it.
Others drill a hole and then do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
They say that Belgians and Greeks do it.
Nice young men who sell antiques, do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
My kith and kin, more or less, do it. Every uncle and aunt. But I confess to it, I've one cousin who can't.
Each tiny clam we consume, does it.
Even Liberace, we assume, does it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love. Teenagers squeeze in their jeans, do it.
Probably we'll live to see my shades, do it.
Let's do it. Let's fall in love.
Oh, come on, let's do it.
Coward was born in suburban London and always had a keen ear for the depressed accents of Cockney comedy. That is the end of the news, is his ecstatic celebration of lower middle-class unhappiness.
We are told very loudly and often to lift up our hearts. We are told that good humour will soften fate's cruelest thoughts. So, however bad our domestic troubles may be, we just shake with amusement and sing with glee.
Hi-ho, Mum's got those pains again.
Granny's in bed with her varicose veins again.
Everyone's gay because dear cousin Florrie was run down on Saturday night by a lorry.
We're so glad Elsie's miscarriage occurred on the Wednesday after her marriage.
When Albert fell down all the steps of the town, only got 3 back cuts and a bruise.
We're delighted to be able to say we're unable to pay all our debts. We're excited because Percy's got mange and we've run up a bill at the vets. What fun! Dear little Sydney produced a spectacular stone in his kidney.
He's at 11.
So God's in his heaven, and that is the end of the news. Hey ho, what a catastrophe! Grandfather's brain is beginning to atrophy.
Last Sunday night after eating an apple, he made a rude noise in the Methodist chapel.
Now don't laugh. Poor Mrs. Mason was washing some smalls in the lavatory basin.
When that old corroded gas heater exploded and blew us smack into the mews.
We've been running by that mortgage foreclosure, and father went out on a blind.
He got running for indecent exposure.
And ever so heavily fined.
Hey ditto. Aunt Isabel's shingles have met in the middle.
She's buried in Devon, so God's in his heaven. And that is the end of the
When Noel Coward first burst onto the London and Broadway scene in the 20s, he amused himself by telling the papers, "I may say I have a frightfully depraved mind. I am never out of opium dens, cocaine dens, and other evil places. My mind is a mass of corruption." He was less concerned to emphasize the moralizing strain that runs through such a lot of his work. Poor Little Rich Girl was the first in a long line of songs which reproved the empty, jazz-laden life of the 20s flapper. Three White Feathers explores the predicament of a chorus girl who, in traditional turn-of-the-century fashion, has married into the aristocracy. Now she sits, taut with nerves, in the Rolls-Royce which is taking her to Buckingham Palace to be presented at court.
I can't help feeling fate's made a fool of me. Rather, it's put me where I shouldn't be and really couldn't be by rights. We lived at Ealing, me and my mother and father. I've scaled the social ladder and I've never had a head for hides. We had a pawn shop on the corner of the street, and Father did a roaring trade. I used to think those rings and necklaces were sweet. Now I wouldn't give them to my maid. I've traveled a long, long way, and the journey hasn't been all jam. I must admit, the roles in which I sit is one up on the dear old tram. I say to myself each day, indefinitely marble halls. Today it may be 3 white feathers, but yesterday it was 3 brass bowls. I've traveled a long, long way and had a lot of jolts and bumps. I'll concentrate and be ahead of fate, whichever way the old cat jumps. I wink as I slyly drink to the ancestors that line our walls. Today it may be 3 white feathers, but yesterday it was 3 brass balls.
Oh, little rich girl, you're a bewitched girl. Better beware, better beware. Laughing at danger, but you a stranger. Better take care, better take care. The life you lead leaves all your nerves in a jangle. Your love affairs are in a hopeless tangle. Though you're a child, dear, your life's a wild typhoon. In life and leisure, the craze for pleasure steadily grows, steadily grows. Cocktails and laughter, but what comes after, nobody knows. You're really love into a major strength, through my pantaloons. Oh, little rich girl, don't drop a stitch too soon. maybe you're lonely, and maybe one day soon you'll know. I don't sing much faster, you're courting disaster. Time alone will show. In life and leisure, the craze for pleasure steadily grows, steadily grows. Cocktails and laughter, but what comes after, nobody knows. You're moving love into a magic heaven, who by pantaloon. Oh, little rich girl, you're a bewitched girl. Don't drop a stitch too soon.
Coward's most loyal audience and one of his favourite targets was the British aristocracy, a class which still clings to some vestiges of its former power, at least according to the classic story of a hostess who consulted Debrett over the proper protocol in receiving the Aga Khan. The reply came by return. The Aga Khan is a direct descendant of God. An English duke takes precedence. Coward takes care of the aristocracy in the stately homes of England.
Of England, how beautiful they stand, to prove the upper classes have still the upper hand.
The fact that they have to be rebuilt
and frequently mortgaged to the hilt
is inclined to take the guilt of the gingerbread,
and certainly damns the fun of the elder son.
But still we won't be beaten, we'll scrimp and screw and save.
The playing fields of Eton have made us frightfully brave.
and though if the Van Dykes have to go and we pawn the Bechstein Grand,
We'll stand by the stately homes of England.
The stately homes of England we proudly represent. We only keep them up for Americans to rent.
though the pipes that supply the bathroom burst,
And the lavatory makes you fare the worst.
It was used by Charles I.
Quite informally.
and later by George IV on his journey north.
The state apartments keep their historical renown. It's wiser not to sleep there in case they tumble down. But still, if they ever catch on fire, which with any luck they might, we'll fight for the stately homes of England.
The stately homes of England, they're rather in the lurch, provide a lot of chances for psychical research. There's a ghost of a crazy younger son who murdered in 1351 an extremely rowdy nun.
Who resented it, and people who come to call meet her in the hall.
The baby in the guest wing who crouches by the grate was walled up in the west wing in 1428.
And if anyone spots the Queen of Scots in a hand-embroidered shroud,
We're proud of the stately homes of England.
Coward was a theatre performer from the age of 10, prodded by a mother who was game enough to remonstrate when he was denied a place in the choir of the Chapel Royal. Nonsense, she protested. Has he not moved the Queen of Portugal to tears? Later, he wrote movingly of his childhood. I never cared who scored the goal or which side won the silver cup. I never learned to bat or bowl, but I heard the curtain going up. A lifetime never dimmed his enthusiasm for the theatre or sweetened his acid. Two things should have been cut, he said of one show, the second act and the child's throat. Time has convinced me of one thing: television is for appearing on, not looking at. When Coward became famous, he, in his turn, became the target of monstrously ambitious stage mothers. To discourage them, he wrote his famous open letter, "Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington." Tonight, to redictate it, we welcome our guest on Song by Song, Ian Carmichael.
Put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage. The profession's overcrowded and the struggle's pretty tough. And admitting the fact she's burly to act, that isn't quite enough. She has nice hands to give the wretched girl her due, but don't you think her bust is too developed for our age? I repeat, Mrs. Worthington, sweet Mrs. Worthington, don't put your daughter on the stage. Regarding yours, dear Mrs. Worthington, on Wednesday the 23rd. Although your baby may be keen on a stage career, how can I make it clear that this is not a good idea? For her to hope, dear Mrs. Worthington, is on the face of it absurd. Her personality is not in reality inviting enough, exciting enough for this particular sphere. Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage. She's a bit of an ugly duckling, you must honestly confess, and the width of her seat would surely defeat her chances of success. It's a loud voice, and though it's not exactly flat, she'd need a little more than that to earn a living wage. On my knees, Mrs. Worthington, please, Mrs. Worthington, don't put your daughter on the stage. Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage. Though they said at the School of Acting she was lovely as Peer Gynt, I'm afraid on the whole an ingenue role would emphasize her squint. She's a big girl, and though her teeth are fairly good, she's not the type I ever would be eager to engage. That sufficed, Mrs. Worthington. Right, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage.
Another of Coward's obsessions was the East. He travelled it, he wrote about it, he sang about it, and in wartime, when he asked Winston Churchill what he could do to help the war effort, he was told to go out and sing Mad Dogs and Englishmen to the troops where the guns are firing. By the time the war was over, he'd collected another vivid impression of the Indian Raj in I Wonder What Happened to Him. The India that one read about, and may have been misled about, in one respect has kept itself intact. Though Pakistan traditions may have cracked and thinned, the good old Indian army's still a fact. That famous monumental man, the officer and gentleman, can still recall the glories of Bombay to Kathmandu. In certain clubs you still can glimpse matured or embryonic blimps vivaciously speculating as to what became of who. Though Eastern sounds may fascinate your ear, when West meets West, you're always sure to hear.
Whatever became of old Boozy? You know, I haven't seen him for a year.
Is it true that young Briggs had to marry that floozy he met in the Vale of Kashmir?
Have you heard any news of that chap in the blues? Was it Prosser or Pycroft? No, Pym.
Yes, he was stationed in Simla. Simla!
Oh.
Or was it Bengal? I know he got tight at a ball in Nepal and wrote several four-letter words on a wall.
I wonder what happened to him.
Whatever became of old Shallow?
Is it true that young Briggs was cashiered for riding quite nude on a pushbike through Delhi the day the new viceroy appeared?
Have you heard any word of that chap in the third? Was it Sotheby, Sedgwick, or Sim?
You know, they had him thrown out of a club in Bombay.
Yeah.
because apart from his mess bills exceeding his pay, he took to pig sticking in quite the wrong way.
I wonder what happened to him. Whatever became of old Tucker?
Have you heard any word of young Mills?
Yes, he ruptured himself at the end of a chucker and had to be sent to the hills.
They say that young Lees had a go of DTs, and his hopes of promotion are slim. But according to Stubbs, who was a bit of a louse, silly young blighter went out on the souse. Took 2 old tarts into Government House. I wonder what happened to him. Whatever became of old Archie?
I hear he departed this life.
I say, whatever became of old Archie?
I hear he departed this life.
Oh.
After rounding up 10 sacred cows in Karachi to welcome the governor's wife. I say,
Yes?
do you remember young Phipps, who had very large hips and whose waist was excessively slim?
Very well.
Well, a curious doctor in Grosvenor Square gave him hormone injections for growing his hair.
What?
His hair. But he grew something here, and he grew something there.
I wonder what happened to her.
Him!
Yes.
You silly old fool.
It was Coward who pointed out in Private Lives the potency of cheap music. And for Coward, the composer, the key to the scores of his major musicals was the arrival in his head of a main theme which somehow unlocked the tunes of the other songs. Late one night in 1934, he was about to abandon one show, a conversation piece, because try as he might, he couldn't find the right theme. He closed the piano, had several whiskies, gave up the entire project, and set off for bed. And he suddenly realized that he hadn't switched off the light by the piano. When he reached it, he played I'll Follow My Secret Heart straight through. Similarly, unable to find the key to the score of Bittersweet, he was caught in a New York traffic jam. In that not entirely silent circumstance, I'll See You Again popped into his mind. A third waltz, Someday I'll Find You, arrived unbidden in a Tokyo hotel at around midnight. Here are those 3 tunes, Coward's most potent music.
I'll follow my secret heart my whole life through. I'll see you again whenever spring breaks through again.
Someday I'll find you, moonlight behind you, true to the dream I am dreaming. As I draw near you, you smile a little smile. For a little while, we shall stand hand in hand. I leave you never, love you forever. All of our sorrow redeeming. Make it all come true. Make me love you too. Someday I'll find you. Someday I'll find you.
My secret heart, I'll see you again whenever spring breaks
But what has been is past forgetting. This sweet memory across the years will come to you. Though my world may go awry, in my heart will never lie just the echo of a
I'll follow my secret heart my whole life through. I'll keep all my dreams apart till one comes true. No matter what prices paid, what stars may fade, I'll follow my secret heart till I find in my heart will never lie just the echo of a sigh.
The critic, the late Philip Hope Wallace, wrote, "Never trust a man who decries the songs of Noel Coward." Cleo Lane will sing If Love Were All, in which he wrote his own epitaph. "I believe that since my life began, the most I've had is just a talent to amuse. And equally apposite to sum up his steely will, fate may often break me meanly, but I keenly pursue a little mirage in the blue. Determination helps me through." David Kernan examines again the meticulously frivolous side of Coward in the saga of Mrs. Wentworth Brewster. But first, the last song that Coward ever wrote. He composed Come the Wild, Wild Weather for a play called Waiting in the Wings. It was beautifully sung in the play by Graham Payne. Tonight, it will be beautifully sung by Gemma Craven.
Of snow, come the joy, come the pain, we shall still be together when our life story ends. For wherever we chance to go, we shall always be friends. We may find as we're traveling through the years moments of joy and love and happiness, reason for grief, reason for tears. Come the wild, wild weather, if we've lost or we've won, we'll remember these words we say till our story is done. Time may hold in store for us glory or defeat, maybe never more for us. Life will be so sweet. Time will change so many things. Tides will ebb and flow. But wherever fate may lead us,
we shall still be together when our life story ends. For wherever we chance to go, we shall always be friends. Come the wild, wild weather, if we've lost or we've won, we remember these words we say till our story is over and done. Till our story is over and done.
I'll sing you a song, it's not very long. Its moral may disconcert you, of a mother and wife who most of her life was famed for domestic virtue. She had 2 strapping daughters and a rather dull son, and a much duller husband who at 61 elected to retire and later on expire. Sing a hallelujah, hey nonny no, hey nonny no, hey nonny no. He joined the feathered choir. Having laid him to rest by special request in the family mausoleum, as the widow repaired to the home that they shared, her heart sang a gay Te Deum. And then in the middle of the funeral wake, with her mouth full of excellent Madeira cake, the widow cried, "That's done, my life's at last begun." Sing hallelujah, hey nonny no, hey nonny no, hey nonny no. It's time I had some fun. Today, though hardly a jolly day, at least to set me free, we'll all have a lovely holiday on the island of Capri. In a bar on the Piccola Marina, life came to Mrs. Wentworth Brewster. Fate beckoned her and introduced her into a rather queer, unfamiliar atmosphere. She'd just sit there propping up the bar beside a fisherman who sang to a guitar. When accused of having gone too far, she merely cried, "Funiculi, just fancy me, funicular." When he bellowed, "Que bella signorina," sheer ecstasy at once produced a wild shriek from Mrs. Wentworth Brewster, changing her whole demeanor. When both her daughters and her son said, "Please come home, Mama," she murmured, rather bibulously, "Well, who do you think you are? Nobody can afford to be so lardy-bloody-da." In a bar on the Piccola Marina, every fisherman cried, "Viva, viva, and che ragazza." When she stepped on the grand piazza, everybody would rise. Every fisherman sighed, "Viva, viva, che belle and glazy." Somebody even said, "Whoops-a-daisy," which was quite a surprise. Each night she'd make some gay excuse, and beaming with goodwill, she'd just slip into something loose and totter down the hill to the bar on the Piccola Marina, where love came to Mrs. Wentworth Brewster. Hot flushes of delight suffused her. Right round the bend she went, picture her astonishment. Day in, day out she would gad about, because she felt she was no longer on the shelf. Night out, night in, knocking back the gin, she cried, "Hurrah, funicula, funiculi, funic yourself." just for fun, 3 young sailors from Messina bowed low to Mrs. Wentworth Brewster, said "Scusi" and politely "Gusta." Then there was quite a scene. Her family in floods of tears said, "Leave these men, Mama." She said, "They're just high-spirited, like all Italians are. And most of them have a great deal more to offer than Papa in a bar, a Villa Marine." No.
Life is very rough and tumble for a humble deserves. One can betray one's troubles never, whatever occurs. Night after night, have to look bright, whether you're well or ill. People must laugh their fill. You mustn't sleep till dawn comes creeping. Though I never really grumble, life's a jumble indeed. And in my efforts to succeed, I've had to formulate a creed. I believe in doing what I can, in crying when I must, in laughing when I choose. Hey-ho, if love were all, then I'd be lonely. I believe the more you love a man, the more you give your trust, the more you have to lose. Although when shadows fall, I think if only somebody splendid really needed me, someone affectionate and dear, cares would be ended if I knew that he wanted to have me near. I believe that since my life began, the most I've had was just a talent to amuse. Hey-ho, if love were all.
Noel Coward always created a unique effect on entering a theatre. To know that he was in the audience sent a buzz of excitement round a cast of actors. He carried a feeling of theatricality with him, and to watch him touring the dressing rooms after a performance was to witness a wonderfully witty and sympathetic exercise in diplomacy. His last poem reflects the camaraderie he enjoyed, inspired, and wrote about so often in the theatre. When I feel sad, as Keats felt sad, that my life is so nearly done, it gives me comfort to dwell upon remembered friends who are dead and gone, and the jokes we had and the fun. How happy they are, I cannot know, but happy am I who loved them so. Carol Brahms and Peter Greenwell, who, like most of us on this programme, have cause to remember Coward's kindness and his generosity as vividly as his many skills, have collected 22 songs to remind us of Noel Coward, the jokes, the fun, and the songs.
Where are the songs we sung
When love in our hearts was young?
We're in the shadows that we have to pass among. Why those songs that once we sung? Dance, 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 little lady, youth is fleeting to the rhythm beating in your mind.
Dance, 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 dance,
Dance, dance,
dance.
dance, little lady, so obsessed with second best, no rest you'll ever find.
Dance, 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 dance. Mad about the boy. I know it's stupid, but I'm mad about the boy. I'm so ashamed of it, but must admit the sleepless nights I've had about the boy.
He never did that to me. He never did that to me. Though I must admit he wasn't a bit like what I supposed he'd be.
Mad about the boy. It's pretty funny, but I'm mad about the boy. He has a gay appeal that makes me feel there may be something sad about the boy.
Madalow, where you go, my heart goes with you. Madalow, as you go down to the sea.
When the storm clouds are riding through a winter sky, sail away,
Sail away,
sail away,
sail away.
When the love light is fading in your sweetheart's eyes, sail away, sail away,
Away.
Has anybody seen our ship, the HMS Peculiar? We've been on shore for a month or more, and when we see the captain we shall get what for. Mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Why do the wrong people travel, 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 when the right people stay back home? What compulsion compels them, and who the hell tells them to drag their cans to Zanzibar instead of staying quietly in Omaha?
I travel alone, walking down the street. His eyes look out at me from people that I meet. I can't believe it's true, but when I'm blue, some strange way I'm glad about the boy.
Chase me, Charlie, over the garden wall. I'd like to wander for miles and miles, wreathed in smiles, out on the tiles with you.
Alice is at it again.
You were there, I saw you and my heart stopped beating. You were there, and in this first enchanted meeting, life changed its tune.
This is a changing world, my dear. New songs are sung, new stars appear.
We'll gaze at the sky and try
To guess what it's all about, then we will figure out why the world is
world weary, living in a great big town.
I find it so dreary, everything is grey.
brown.
20th century blues, they're getting me down. Ooh, this dreary 20th century blues.
We must all be very kind to Auntie Jessie.
And do everything we can to keep her bright.
Something very strange is happening to me. All the sounds I hear, the bus is changing gear.
Any little fish can swim, any little cow can moo, but I can't do anything at all but just love you.
Will it ever close? This odd diversity of misery and joy. I'm feeling quite insane and young again, and all because I'm mad about the boy, mad about the boy, mad about the boy.
I wonder what happened to him.
Dance, 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 little lady, youth is fleeting to the rhythm beating in your mind.
Youth is fleeting to the beating in your mind.
Dance, 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 little lady, so obsessed with second best, the rest you'll ever find.
There's no rest you'll ever find.
Time and trouble, never, never wait.
Let that cauldron bubble justify your fate.
Dance, 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 little lady,
Dance, 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 little lady.
leave your troubles behind.
On dancing, on dancing, just into
Gemma Craven is currently appearing in their Playing Our Song at the Shaftesbury Theatre, London.